It's always game time. Big Ten basketball live on NBC. Juju Watkins leading USC into Indiana. That'll be January 19th on NBC and Peacock. It is always game time. So we just played In or Out as we welcome in Robert Griffin Jr. the third to play In or Out. You can check out Out of Pocket with RG3 on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Good to talk to you again. All right. Are you in or out Sam Darnold staying with the Vikings?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm out. I'm out on that.
Okay.
JJ McCarthy, people tend to forget about JJ, but I was a huge JJ guy coming out. I know why NFL coaches love him. He can make the practical plays. He's not a stat merchant. He's not worried about those types of things, but he can also make the off-schedule play and has the athleticism and mobility that you look for. Sam Darnold, in my opinion, I don't think that his fall off was as big, Dan, as people are making it out to be. I think the 18 weeks of the season or the 17 weeks of the season that he played well still are gonna, help him in free agency. But I do not think that he'll be back with Minnesota.
Are you in or out that the Cowboys' Deion Sanders story is a real story?
I'm in with an asterisk. I've talked to Dion, and I knew this months ago that the only way he'll go to the NFL is if he has an opportunity to coach his sons, and he's been very adamant about that recently. It wasn't my information to share at the time, but I don't think he's gonna go to the NFL just to be an NFL coach. And he doesn't want to chase after his sons. He's set them up to be in a position where they can be highly drafted if you're Shadur, and Shiloh will have a chance to go play in the NFL as well. But I'm in. I think he's the best option. And Dan, I got to say, I was the first person to say it when it wasn't popular last year on the set of Monday Night Countdown. So I'm in on that.
Yeah, I've been saying all along that I thought that there was something up with him with the Raiders if they were going to get the number one pick, and Dion could have gone there and taken his son number one. Could you have seen that scenario? Because I thought that since Tom got in there as the part-time owner, minority owner.
Yeah, I thought for sure. And I know that Dion, he's very supportive of other coaches. And this is something that I'm not sure people really pay attention to a ton, where it was Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State, where there's Marcus Freeman, where there's Mike Vick in his situation in Norfolk State. He's very supportive coach of other coaches. And he didn't want to undercut Antonio Pierce. So I remember they were at that banquet a few weeks ago when Pierce was the coach, and he was like, hey, draft my son, blah, 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 because he wants his son to be in a situation that, Tom Brady being there, having influence, mentoring Shador would be great. So I was in on that as well. I didn't think that Dallas was the only place that Dion could go and be a head coach in the NFL. But I did think that before this season, they should have fired Mike McCarthy and hired Dion to bring an identity and a culture there to Dallas of winning that he's brought with him to Jackson State and now also to Colorado.
All right, are you in or out Shador pulling an Eli Manning if Tennessee or Cleveland were to draft him?
Um, Man, I think I'd be in. I'd be in because at the end of the day, I'm a player empowerment guy. And it's funny because last year I said that Caleb Williams should have pulled an Eli Manning on the Chicago Bears. And a lot of people got upset with me. But Dan, I don't know if you noticed, I ended up being right about that. And the bottom line is structure matters. Who the coach is matters. Who you have around you matters. And if Shador, because he's a grown man, feels that Tennessee or Cleveland are not the right place for him, then that's his decision to make. I, for one, believe that they're not the right place for him. So I'd be in on that.
Who has more to gain from a win this weekend in Buffalo with Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson?
I think Lamar Jackson has more to gain. If you look at their playoff numbers, Josh Allen has a quarterback rating over 100, and his kryptonite has really been Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Lamar's kryptonite has been his second playoff game and just his success in the playoffs altogether. So I think if Lamar loses, you will see, or should I say the Baltimore Ravens lose, because quarterbacks don't win and lose games, But if the Ravens lose, you'll see a lot of people come out and destroy Lamar Jackson. And in this case, I would have to agree that it's warranted. This is an MVP showdown. And Dan, I wish the trophy was on the line in this game. Because that would be just add so much more intrigue to it. But I do think Lamar has more to lose. But I don't think the game comes down to Lamar, Josh. I think it comes down to Derrick Henry and James Cook. And I believe that's the matchup between those two, and the offensive lines up front will determine who wins the game.
Talking to RG3, fill in the blank. Justin Herbert is blank.
Justin Herbert is Phillip Rivers. That's what he is right now. And Phillip Rivers
is that a compliment?
It is a compliment. Dan, would you love to have the career that Phillip Rivers had?
Compared to who?
I'm asking you, just as a fan, as a guy who's covered the game, would you love to have the career that Phillip Rivers had?
I would take Joe Flacco's over Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, but you're not answering the question.
Okay.
Right? Would you? I think that most fans,
I would take Phillip Rivers' career. Yes.
I think most fans would take Phillip Rivers' career. So when you say, is it a compliment? I'm saying it just depends on how you're looking at this. Is it a compliment to, or would you rather have Phillip Rivers' career or Peyton Manning's career? Peyton Manning. For Justin Herbert, he has to decide at some point. It can't be everybody else's issue anymore. He's had 3 head coaches and 4 offensive coordinators. Every single coach he's had has been blamed for his lack of success in the playoffs. He throws 4 interceptions. Not every single one of them were on him. I'm not going to go so far as to say that he is not a good quarterback, because he is a good quarterback. But at some point, when it's nut cutting time, he has to step up in the playoffs, and it can't be, well, it was this coach's fault or that coordinator didn't get it done. And now I'm hearing people talk about Greg Roman again, and Greg Roman is the issue. He didn't do this, he didn't do that. And I just look at it and say, okay.
Herbert is not blaming.
No.
The media is making excuses for Justin Herbert. There's a difference in that. Okay.
I agree. I want to be very clear there. Justin Herbert took full accountability and responsibility after the game for how he played. This is not a Justin Herbert thing. It's more of a us thing, right? In the media, we're all in this together. We got to be able to hold him accountable to the same lengths that we hold Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, or even Peyton Manning when he was early in his career, didn't have a ton of playoff success. Herbert is now in that realm where he's going to make a decision. Is he going to be Phillip Rivers, or is he going to be able to turn the corner and be a Peyton Manning type?
But I think when you lumped him in with Dak Prescott and Lamar Jackson, to me, they shouldn't be lumped in, because Dak is the quarterback of the Cowboys.
Yes.
Always going to get more credit and more blame. Always. Lamar's a 2-time MVP and hasn't done anything in the postseason. Justin Herbert, I think, is propped up by a portion of the media that wants him to be a great quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. Lamar's won 2 MVPs. He has got to perform in the postseason. That's what we expect out of MVPs. And Dak, you walk into that position and you're going to get criticized. And Dak has not really done much. And now he's 32, coming off hamstring surgery. And so he's injury prone and immobile. And now whoever takes over the Cowboys inherits that. That's not a good recipe there.
Yeah, and you're talking about my tweet from a couple of days ago when the Chargers lost. And the reason I Mike and Dave, need a wedding date, lumped them all in together is because, yes, I can understand the Lamar Jackson piece. 2, you like that movie reference. It's a great movie. I don't know why people don't like it. It's a great movie. I understand the Lamar Jackson piece, the 2-time MVP. But now we're just creating these subcategories for, we're going to criticize this guy, but not this guy. Lamar's success in the playoffs, or lack thereof, or of how he's played, he still made it to an AFC championship game. Justin Herbert hasn't even sniffed that. So when you look at Dak Prescott and what he's been able to do, as the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, that's awesome. But I'm not going to subdivide that and say I'm going to give Dak more criticism just because he's a quarterback of the Cowboys. I'm going to give Lamar more criticism despite the fact that he's done more than almost every quarterback in his draft class when it comes to his success on the field. Justin Herbert has unbelievable stats. You probably know all of the NFL records that he's broken, from passing yards to passing touchdowns to wins and everything in between. I do think he is a great quarterback. The question is he a clutch quarterback when it matters? And right now, he hasn't been. And for that, to me, it's you either give everybody grace and you say, hey, it took Steve Young 7, 8 years to figure it out. It took Manning 8, 9 years to figure it out. Or you make sure you criticize them all at the same level, because quarterbacks always get the most praise and they always get the most criticism, right? More praise than they deserve, more criticism than they deserve. We can't create these subcategories and say, all right, well, we're not going to go after Justin Herbert just because he's not the quarterback of the Cowboys and he's not a 2-time MVP.
But who's not going after him?
You think Justin Herbert gets the same amount of criticism that Lamar Jackson does? Or Dak Prescott? Or Tua Tagovailoa?
Lamar's a 2-time MVP.
What about Tua Tagovailoa? Let's take Lamar out of it. Do you think Justin Herbert gets the same criticism as Tua Tagovailoa?
Tua gets a hall pass because of his health.
Tua does not get a hall pass. They had a whole offseason. They had a whole offseason. They had a whole offseason that Tua can't make throws, right?
All right. Do you think that he's a great quarterback?
I do. And I think he's the perfect quarterback for Mike McDaniel's offense.
Why would Tyreek want out if you've got this great quarterback there?
Well, Tyreek probably wants out because Tyreek wants to win Super Bowls. And
you can't do that with Tua?
I think you can, but Tua was banged up this year. And
Tua's going to be banged up. We hold our breath. I think that we hold our breath with him. I don't think people are critical of him. I don't.
Really?
Nowhere near. Nowhere near other quarterback. No. I think Tua, we got a hall pass. He got a hall pass because of his health. What were his numbers this year? What did he do this year? What did the Dolphins do this year?
Well, he showed that he's the MVP of the Dolphins, because when he was out, they couldn't sniff a win. But then when he came back, he actually helped them get back into playoff contention and have a chance at the end of the season to make the actual playoffs. So
if I said you can have Tua moving forward or Justin Herbert,
who would I take?
Yeah.
I hate that question, Dan. Damn it.
You set it up.
I didn't set it up. You set it up. You're just trying to get the Miami Dolphins fan
You brought
to get
in
mad
Tua.
at me.
You brought in Tua.
I did bring in Tua. I did bring in Tua. I did.
So
all right. If I had to pick, I'm taking Tua Tagovailoa. I am. Right. I'm taking Tua over Justin Herbert.
You don't believe that. You do
I
not
do.
believe that.
I do believe it.
You do not believe. Let's go around the room. Who believes that RG3 is telling me the truth? Todd, do you think he's telling the truth?
I think he is.
Oh, let's go suck up.
I appreciate you, Todd. My guy.
Seton, do you think RG3 is telling me the truth?
I do. I believe he's telling you the truth, yes.
Oh, my God.
Now, the question, Dan, the better question is, would they take Tua over Justin? Because I don't think a lot of people would.
No,
I think from watching the tape and watching the two guys play, if health is not an issue, because health is an issue for both of them. Let's be honest.
Well, it's really an issue for Tua. It's really an issue for Tua.
If you could guarantee me that Tua never gets another concussion, I'm taking Tua.
Yeah, but I can't do that. That's part of what you take. Paulie, you want to call out RG3?
Yeah, Robert was lying to you. His voice went up 3 octaves. I believe it. I believe it. He did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Paulie used to work for the FBI giving lie detector tests. So, yeah, he's calling you out. Before I let you go, whenever I read, well, not whenever, but a lot of times I'll read about Jayden Daniels, and then there'll be the cautionary tale where they bring up you. That, you had this meteoric rise. You were Jayden Daniels before him, but is it fair to bring you up as a cautionary tale, yes, playing for the same franchise, of getting hurt or putting yourself at risk with the way you play?
No, I don't think it's fair at all. I don't think it's fair to Jayden. I don't think it's fair to the Commanders organization, because there's this thing that I said in the offseason that I got much maligned for about the Chicago Bears and how their structure wasn't conducive to a young quarterback being successful. And the caveat to that, or should I say the example off of that, was how well Washington was built. New head coach, new GM, new ownership, new offensive coordinator that knew how to utilize a mobile, dual threat, triple threat quarterback like Jayden Daniels. and veteran leadership on the team, bringing in Bobby Wagner, having Austin Eckler in the running back room, Brian Robinson being a bulldozing Ram, having Scary Terry at wide receiver. All of those things made Washington's situation so much better. And when you look at my situation when I came out as a rookie, I was with an owner in Dan Snyder and a head coach in Mike Shanahan who were feuding. I did not know that at the time. I was just a young 22-year-old kid. But there was not the uniformity throughout the organization that Washington has now. And that's why I always say organizations and NFL teams screw up more young quarterbacks than they actually help succeed. But you got to hit it at the right time. And right now, Jayden Daniels in Washington hit it at the exact right time. They take care of him. They've removed the dark cloud from the organization.
But I'm talking style, though, Robert.
No, but that's what I'm
style.
I'm with you. But the style, his style of play and where you play and who you're playing with all matters. That's what I'm trying to say. Listen, I can't go back and have Haloti Ngata not hit me in my knee against the Baltimore Ravens. I can't do that. There's no way for me to do that. I think
you could have avoided him, couldn't you?
I mean, he could have not hit me in the way that he did, but that's a conversation for another time.
Okay.
And Dan, I could have done a much better job in my career of protecting myself. I think that's very well documented. I think what you'll see from Jayden Daniels, if you watch the tape, is that he has done a much better job protecting himself. Getting down, sliding, avoiding some of those big catastrophic hits. But that's the point
I wanted to make. I didn't think it was fair to keep bringing you into this because I do think he runs differently. He is protecting himself.
Yeah.
There were times when you took on contact, but I'm watching Jayden Daniels not going, well, when's he going to be RG3? Because I think you guys, while having similar traits, you're different quarterbacks, and it's a different era. It's a different organization. So that's the only reason why I brought that up. I
not to interrupt. Sorry,
okay.
No, it's your show. My bad. I'm saying that his style of play and how he's utilized matters. Okay, this is about Jayden Daniels. This is not about me, but all of those factors that went into where I was playing and what was going on and how I was utilized matter. Cliff Kingsbury is utilizing Jayden Daniels better than I was utilized when I was a young quarterback. And I think that matters in how they're doing it.
And the field's in better shape for Jayden Daniels.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
He's RG3. Check out his podcast, Out of Pocket, with RG3 on YouTube, wherever you get your podcast. Great to catch up with you. Thanks as always.
Appreciate you, brother. God bless.
Thank you, man. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Last call for phone calls. We got some breaking college football / NFL news after the break.